The real Pink and Floyd, the bluesmen behind Pink Floyd's name. Millions of fans can hum Money or Wish You Were Here without ever wondering where the band's name actually came from. It sounds like a made-up phrase, or maybe a joke about the color pink and someone named Floyd. In reality, it's a tribute, a quiet nod to two obscure blues musicians from the American South who never met, never played together, and never knew that a British teenager would one day borrow their names to build one of the biggest bands in rock history. Here's who they really were. Pink Anderson, the Medicine Show Man. At the dawn of the 20th century, blues music was taking shape in the hardship of rural black life in the South. Traveling shows were part of everyday culture there. Tent circuses, revues, and so-called medicine shows, all of which relied on musicians to draw a crowd. These wandering performers helped carry the new sound of the blues across the region, from the Mississippi Delta to Texas, from the Gulf Coast to the Atlantic seaboard, and up the river into the heartland of the country. Remarkably, medicine shows persisted in America even after World War II, and some of the musicians who worked them had been living that itinerant life for decades. Pink Anderson was one of them. Born Pinkney Anderson in 1900 near Spartanburg, South Carolina, he was already playing guitar for crowds by age 14, entertaining the people who gathered to buy Dr. Kerr's Cure-All tonic. These impromptu roadside gatherings drew all sorts of people, and young Pink kept them entertained with his singing and playing. He teamed up with a blind guitarist named Simmy Dooley, and the pair soon took their act to the streets across the Carolinas, following the medicine shows from town to town. Together they built a vast repertoire of folk songs, blues, and ragtime, and in April 1928 they recorded as a duo in Atlanta. Columbia Records released 4 vocal and guitar sides from those sessions, one of which features a voice that, strikingly, sounds almost like Bob Dylan. Anderson and Dooley kept performing at rural medicine shows well into the 1960s. After the two parted ways, Pink often took the road with Chief Thundercloud's traveling show, sometimes alongside Sam Jackson. In 1950, folklorist Paul Clayton recorded 7 of Pink's Carolina street ballads, which appeared on the Riverside album Gospel, Blues and Street Songs, the flip side of which featured Reverend Gary Davis. When the folk and blues revival took off, musicologist Samuel Charters recorded several albums of Pink's music for the Prestige/Bluesway label, the best known being Medicine Show Man. Anderson also appeared in the 1963 documentary The Blues. Sadly, his performing career ended when he suffered a stroke in the late 1960s. He died in his hometown of Spartanburg in 1974. His grave marker at Lincoln Memorial Cemetery is engraved with a Gibson J50 guitar and a harmonica, a tribute to the instruments that defined his life. Anderson was a stylish guitarist and a powerful singer with a rich catalog of memorable songs, but today his name is remembered for something else entirely. In 1965, a young Syd Barrett was casting about for a name for his new band in Cambridge, England. He fused Pink Anderson's first name with the surname of another Carolina bluesman, Floyd Council, and Pink Floyd was born. Floyd Council, the Devil's son-in-law. Floyd Council was a blues singer and guitarist working in the Piedmont blues tradition. Known by the nickname Devil's son-in-law, he was born in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, in 1911. He began performing on the streets of Chapel Hill alongside his 2 brothers. In the late 1920s and early 1930s, Council's group performed regularly with Blind Boy Fuller around Chapel Hill, and in the mid-1930s the group recorded on 2 separate occasions. Council's career was cut short in the late 1960s when he suffered a heart attack that left him with partial paralysis of the throat muscles and slowed motor function. When folklorist Peter Lowry attempted to record him in 1970, the effort failed because of these lasting effects. Council died of a second heart attack in 1976, 2 years after Pink Anderson. Anderson and Council never performed together, and there's no record that the 2 men ever even met, despite living in the same era and roughly the same region of the American South. Yet by a stroke of luck, their names have been permanently linked ever since Syd Barrett decided to combine them into the name of what would become one of the most influential rock bands of all time.